Why do you not hear the cries of their children in the bondage of Egypt?
One, the cursed set of the Golden Calf. During filming of the infamous Golden Calf sequence, the chaotic moment when the Israelites throw a desert rave around their new idol, Cecil B. DeMille, decided that excess should look and feel real. Hundreds of extras were packed into the set, dressed in ragged costumes, and ordered to dance wildly for hours under giant studio lights that pushed the temperature past 110 degrees. The towering Golden Calf statue looked majestic on film, but was coated in real metallic paint containing copper and aluminum dust. Every movement stirred toxic particles into the air, which the extras breathed in while sweating under heavy makeup. By midday, people were collapsing left and right. Nearly 40 extras fainted, and several had to be carried off to a nearby medical tent. But DeMille, ever the perfectionist, refused to stop. He famously shouted, "Don't worry, we're showing the wages of sin," adding a theological excuse for workplace misery. As if that wasn't eerie enough, technicians swore strange malfunctions plagued the set. Lights flickered for no reason, reels jammed, and one camera even burst into flames. Word spread fast and everyone started calling it the cursed cow.
And the people sinned a great sin, for they had made them a god of gold.
2. Charlton Heston's Baby Really was Moses. When it came time to film the tender baby in the basket scenes, Cecil B. DeMille wasn't about to trust just any Hollywood infant. He wanted something special, someone with the bloodline of Moses, as he half-joked to his casting team. So when Charlton Heston showed him a photo of his newborn son, Fraser, DeMille saw destiny. "Perfect," he said. "He already looks like a prophet, just smaller." And so, in one of Hollywood's strangest bits of casting symmetry, Charlton Heston played the adult Moses, while his own 3-month-old son played the infant version floating down the Nile. The baby scenes were shot with enormous care. The crew built a shallow pool lined with soft reeds, just deep enough to look dangerous but safe enough for an infant. Heston stayed nearby, nervously watching as DeMille directed Fraser's every gurgle. The child remarkably didn't cry or flinch during filming. DeMille called it a divine performance. To ease Heston's nerves, the director quipped, "If God wanted authenticity, he sent it with diapers." When reporters later asked about the experience, Heston laughed, saying, "Fraser did all his own stunts. He's been parting the bathwater ever since." 3. DeMille's heart attack on a sand dune. By the time Cecil B. DeMille began filming The 10 Commandments, he was 74, old enough to have retired a few times over, but still charging through the Egyptian desert like a general at war. He was directing thousands of extras, commanding massive camera rigs, and personally inspecting every dune, every chariot, and every beam of sunlight. One blazing afternoon, determined to check a camera angle himself, DeMille climbed a steep sand dune under the punishing desert sun. Halfway up, his heart gave out. He collapsed, breathless, and the crew rushed to him in panic. It was a full-fledged heart attack. A doctor arrived and ordered him to stop working immediately for 2 full weeks of bed rest, minimum. But DeMille wasn't the kind of man who let doctors, or anyone, tell him what to do. He took 2 days off. 2. Then, he returned to set with his chest tightly bandaged, a portable oxygen tank in tow, and an assistant following him everywhere. He even rewrote his call sheet to shorten walking distances between scenes. When his crew begged him to slow down, DeMille just grinned and said, "The Lord may smite Pharaoh, but he'll have to wait till I finish this picture."
Is it the princess's beauty that attracts you, Ramses? Or the fact that she must marry the man I choose to follow me on the throne?
I am the son of your body. Who else could be your heir?
5. Moses' miracle beard? That wouldn't stay put. Charlton Heston's beard in the 10 Commandments wasn't just a prop. It was a daily miracle of engineering. The majestic, wind-tossed mane audiences associate with Moses was actually a delicate creation of yak hair, wool, and sheer determination. The makeup team spent hours gluing each strand by hand using spirit gum and prayer. The result looked glorious on camera, until the desert decided otherwise. During one crucial scene, a violent gust of wind tore half the beard clean off midline. Ever the professional, Heston didn't break character. He thundered, "Let my people go half at least." The crew doubled over laughing, and even DeMille, usually stone-faced, admitted it was the most human Moses had ever looked. After that, the team reinforced the beard with fine copper wire to stop it from flapping away like divine tumbleweed. Each morning, Heston sat through more than an hour of gluing, curling, and combing. He joked that Moses spent more time in hair prep than Cleopatra. The glue burned his skin, and by the end of filming, he reportedly had small bald patches from repeated removals. But it was worth it. That flowing beard became cinematic shorthand for holiness itself.
You will destroy Egypt, or Egypt will destroy you. I belong to you, Moses.
6. The Burning Bush was a chemical experiment. When Cecil B. DeMille set out to film the burning bush, he wanted it to look like an actual encounter with God, not just a flickering campfire with dramatic music. Remember, this was 1956, long before digital effects, so the miracle had to be achieved with chemistry, light, and stubbornness. Technicians built a life-sized replica of a thorn bush out of heat-resistant rubber and wired it with concealed gas jets. Instead of burning the actual prop, they projected moving firelight onto it using mirrored screens and special gels. When that wasn't dramatic enough, DeMille demanded more intensity. The crew increased the gas flow, and the entire rig nearly ignited. Flames shot several feet high, sending the safety team running for sand buckets. A few members of the crew threatened to walk, but DeMille wouldn't back down. If Moses saw a bush that only smoked, he said, he'd never have gone back for the 10 Commandments. They eventually stabilized the setup, using alternating layers of smoke, projected flame, and light filters to create the illusion of fire that was never consumed.
I am here.
Put off thy shoes from off thy feet.
7. That voice of God, half Heston, half mystery. Few sounds in movie history have the spine-tingling power of that thunderous voice calling, "Moses," across the desert. Viewers naturally assumed it was Charlton Heston after all. He already looked the part, but DeMille wanted something deeper, stranger, almost otherworldly. The solution was part acting, part audio alchemy. Heston recorded every divine line in a low, solemn tone inside a giant echo chamber. Then engineers slowed the tape, dropped the pitch, and layered it with another uncredited voice actor chosen for his rumbling bass. The mix created a resonance that was half human, half celestial. To achieve the right echo, technicians actually played the track through speakers in an empty soundstage, then re-recorded the reverberation bouncing off the walls. The final result made audiences feel like the Almighty was speaking from every direction at once. Heston later joked, "It was the only time I argued with myself and lost." Paramount kept the identity of the second voice secret, insisting it added to the film's mystique.
I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
8. The animals had more perks than the extras. The 10 Commandments was Noah's Ark meets Hollywood. DeMille didn't just fill his desert with actors, he filled it with creatures of every shape and species. By the end, the animal head count topped 15,000. Camels, oxen, sheep, goats, horses, dogs, donkeys, and even flamingos brought in for color. Egyptian animal wranglers traveled thousands of miles with the herds, while Paramount paid for imported feed, shade tents, and medical staff. One camel, allegedly from King Farouk's private stables, enjoyed 5-star treatment, its own tent with electric fans, daily baths, and a handler whose sole job was brushing sand from its eyelashes. Meanwhile, human extras shared canteens, rationed water, and hoped the camels didn't eat their props. DeMille enforced strict animal welfare rules rare in the 1950s and hired veterinarians on retainer. When a goat wandered into a catering tent and ate part of the dessert table, he laughed and called it method acting. Paramount's insurance on the livestock alone cost more than the average budget of a Western that same year. Moving thousands of animals across Egyptian terrain turned the set into a biblical traffic jam. Crew members nicknamed the operation DeMille's Ark, and some joked that if the Red Sea didn't part on cue, at least the camels would. The absurdity paid off. Those chaotic Exodus shots, packed with bleeding, mooing realism, gave the film its living texture and proved that in DeMille's world, the animals really did outrank the humans. 9. Melting makeup and sandstorm skincare. If the 10 plagues had included heat exhaustion, the cast would have been ready. Filming in the Sinai Desert meant daily temperatures that soared past 120 degrees foundation melted off faces faster than it could be applied, turning actors into wax figures by lunchtime. Desperate makeup artists mixed beeswax into the foundation to keep it from sliding, which left everyone smelling faintly of candles. By midday, the extras looked halfway between ancient Israelites and freshly frosted pastries. Then came the sandstorms. Out of nowhere, the wind would whip across the dunes, blasting everyone with grit. Most productions would have called it cut, but not DeMille. He yelled, Keep rolling, it's authentic. Cameras kept cranking while cast and crew squinted through clouds of dust. The result looked incredible on film. Real sand clinging to sweaty faces, robes whipping wildly, eyes blazing with what audiences later called divine desperation.
The cloud is red with fire.
At such a time,
10. The real Moses of the crew. Off camera, Charlton Heston wasn't just playing Moses, he became him. With DeMille battling health issues and thousands of extras milling around the desert, someone had to keep morale from melting Heston. With his booming baritone and calm authority, naturally filled the role. Crew members noticed extras lining up behind him as if awaiting commandments. Need directions to lunch? Ask Heston. Lost your costume? Ask Heston. He leaned into the role with humor, quoting scripture at every opportunity. When the caterer ran out of bread rolls, he told the hungry crowd, "Man does not live by bread alone, but the stew helps." When a production assistant complained about the heat, Heston solemnly raised his staff and said, "This too shall pass." It became part pep talk, part stand-up routine. The crew nicknamed him Father Chuck.
Lord, why do you not hear the cries of their children in the bondage of Egypt?
11. Fiberglass commandments. Those massive stone tablets that Moses hoists skyward look heavy enough to crush granite, but they were pure Hollywood illusion. Instead of stone, the props were molded from fiberglass, painted with crushed marble dust to mimic the sparkle of real rock. Each tablet weighed about 20 pounds, just enough to make Charlton Heston flex convincingly without actually dislocating a shoulder. "If they'd been real," he quipped, "my spine would have parted before the Red Sea did." The tablets were built in multiple versions, lighter ones for close-ups and sturdier ones for wide shots where they risked hitting the ground. The inscriptions were hand-etched by Paramount artisans using ancient Hebrew references supplied by a rabbi consultant. Even the cracks and chips were painted in for realism. After filming wrapped, Heston took one pair home and mounted them in his study. Visitors who tapped them expecting stone were startled by the hollow thud. He'd grin and say, "The word of God is light enough for travel." Years later, replicas of those same props were displayed at the Smithsonian as examples of mid-century special effects craftsmanship. Somewhere between sacred artifact and stage trick, they perfectly embodied DeMille's philosophy. Make it look monumental even if it's made of resin.
Written with the finger of God.
12. Biblical accuracy took a vacation. When scholars first watched the Ten Commandments, they probably needed smelling salts. Cecil B. DeMille treated the Old Testament less as sacred text and more as a rough draft for epic cinema. He lifted passages from Exodus, mixed in bits from Numbers and Josephus, sprinkled in ancient legend, and then added pure Hollywood romance, the smoldering love triangle between Moses, Nefertiti, and Ramesses. Pure invention. Moses' staff glowing like a neon sign. Never in scripture, DeMille defended every liberty by declaring, "The Bible gives us the bones, Hollywood adds the flesh." To lend authority, he hired a panel of religious advisors from multiple faiths, but often ignored them. When one rabbi objected to Nefertiti's sultry costumes, DeMille replied, "If the audience doesn't sin a little, they won't learn the lesson." Critics accused him of turning scripture into spectacle. Audiences, however, lined up around the block.
The deliverer is Moses.
13. The Wall of Water, made of gelatin. Long before CGI, the parting of the Red Sea was a miracle of miniatures, camera tricks, and kitchen chemistry. DeMille's effects crew filled 2 enormous tanks on the Paramount lot, with dyed water thickened by industrial gelatin, the same ingredient found in Jell-O. They filmed the viscous waves crashing together, then ran the footage backwards so the water appeared to divide majestically. For the climactic collapse, technicians dumped 40,000 gallons over detailed miniature sets built to scale, capturing the moment in slow motion. The sequence took 6 months to plan, 7 days to shoot, and decades to forget. When the film premiered, audiences gasped, scientists applauded. In fact, NASA engineers later studied the Red Sea footage to analyze liquid motion for early computer simulations. It was that precise. The secret was texture. The gelatin made the water move slower, giving it a heavy, supernatural look. Cinematographer Loyal Griggs used intense blue lighting to emphasize depth, while sound engineers layered thunder, roaring surf, and even slowed down lion growls for the sea's voice. All this without a single computer pixel. 14. The extras were real villagers and soldiers. When Cecil B. DeMille promised to make the Exodus look real, he meant real. Instead of relying on studio trickery, he went straight to the Egyptian government and asked for manpower. The result? More than 8,000 extras, a mix of local villagers, Bedouin tribesmen, and Egyptian soldiers marched across the desert, transforming the sands into a living sea of humanity. Many had never seen a movie camera before. To coordinate them, DeMille turned the set into a kind of military drill, complete with color-coded flags. Red meant panic, green meant march, and blue meant pray. Communication was its own miracle. Few extras spoke English, so DeMille used interpreters shouting commands through megaphones while he stood on a dune. Binoculars in hand, barking orders like a biblical general, soldiers doubled as wranglers, herding goats and oxen between takes. Food trucks and water tanks followed the crowd from location to location, forming a literal moving village. The spectacle was breathtaking, but chaos reigned.
Lead them through the midst of the waters. His will be done.
15. DeMille's 10 Commandments on set. On a movie about divine law, DeMille decided to enforce a few commandments of his own. Outside every soundstage door at Paramount hung a framed copy of the 10 Commandments. Anyone who arrived late, missed a cue, or caused trouble had to read one aloud before entering. It started as a joke but quickly became tradition. Cast and crew would gather, heads bowed in mock reverence, as the guilty party solemnly intoned, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's camera angle." DeMille's moral code extended beyond punctuality. He banned profanity on set, which, given the heat and the stress, may have been the film's greatest miracle. When tempers flared, he reminded everyone, "We're filming sacred history, not starting another war." Even the studio executives weren't spared. When one complained about costs, DeMille tapped the list and said, "Thou shalt not bear false budgets." Despite the authoritarian reputation, the rule reading became a morale booster. It diffused tension and made everyone feel part of something bigger, a tongue-in-cheek revival meeting with cameras.
Behold his mighty hand.
16. The Costume Carnival. If there were an Oscar for endurance, it should have gone to Edith Head's costume department. Tasked with dressing more than 15,000 actors, extras, and doubles, she orchestrated one of the largest wardrobe operations in Hollywood history. Gold-threaded robes, hand-beaded gowns, linen tunics. Each piece was hand-stitched. Head imported fabrics from Italy and Egypt, sourcing beads from India and actual gold leaf for Pharaoh's armor. The costume budget alone exceeded $1 million, unheard of in 1956. For Yul Brynner's royal outfits, designers built hidden fans and cooling vents to keep him from overheating under the lights. Even so, he often sweated through the fabric before noon. Charlton Heston's shepherd garb had to be aged, dirtied, and mended daily to maintain the illusion of 40 years in the wilderness. Some extras' costumes weighed 30 pounds, and fainting became a daily occurrence. Logistics were a nightmare. Laundry crews ran 24 hours, constantly washing, dyeing, and repairing garments. When one night's humidity caused dozens of cotton tunics to shrink, the wardrobe team spent dawn letting them out by hand. Head later recalled, "It was less a costume department and more a small nation with its own economy."
Now judge the results.
17. The Real Desert and the Fake One. While much of the 10 Commandments unfolded in Egypt's deserts, DeMille couldn't risk shooting every scene overseas. So Paramount did the unthinkable. It built an entirely new desert in California. Truckloads of sand were hauled into the backlot, where massive painted backdrops mimicked the Sinai skyline. Set painters spent weeks airbrushing distant dunes onto canvas so convincingly that visiting executives squinted under studio lights and asked, "Is it hot in here, or are we in Egypt?" Locals in Los Angeles soon realized what authenticity meant. Winds carried Paramount's imported sand across neighborhoods, coating cars and swimming pools. Residents joked that DeMille had personally delivered the plagues of dust. The crew called it Sinai West. Despite the artificial setting, the California shoots offered technical advantages: controlled lighting, better equipment, and shorter commutes.
Learning that it can be more terrible to live than to die, he is driven onward through the burning crucible of desert.
18. DeMille's Voice of Authority. Before the first frame of the 10 Commandments rolls, audiences hear a booming baritone welcoming them to the film's moral universe. That isn't an actor, it's Cecil B. DeMille himself. He believed that an epic of this magnitude demanded a personal introduction, something between a sermon and a curtain speech. Paramount executives begged him to hire a narrator, fearing audiences would find it pompous. DeMille refused. "I'm asking them into my church," he said. "They deserve to meet the preacher." He recorded the introduction in a single take, standing at a podium under a spotlight. The studio suggested trimming his 2-minute monologue. He threatened to quit. The unedited speech stayed, setting the tone for everything that followed, solemn, majestic, and slightly intimidating. Critics at the premiere called it the most unusual prologue in film history. Some even applauded before the story began.
The theme of this picture is whether men are to be ruled by God's law or whether they are to be ruled by the whims of a dictator like Ramesses.
19. The premiere was practically a mass. The New York premiere of The Ten Commandments on November 8, 1956, was less a movie opening and more a religious ceremony with popcorn. Paramount transformed the Criterion Theater into a temple. Stone tablet decorations flanked the entrance, ushers wore robes, and torches lined the lobby. The guest list read like an ecumenical summit. Priests, rabbis, imams, politicians, and Hollywood royalty reporters joked that the only one missing was Moses himself. When the lights dimmed and DeMille's voice filled the theater, the crowd went silent. For nearly 4 hours, the audience sat mesmerized. During the parting of the Red Sea, spontaneous applause broke out. One reviewer described the atmosphere as half revival, half revelation. After the credits rolled, the crowd gave a standing ovation lasting almost 10 minutes. DeMille, frail but triumphant, walked the aisle like a priest finishing mass. Even hardened critics admitted they'd never seen anything so audacious. The film earned 7 Oscar nominations and became the year's biggest hit.
Crowds assembled to witness a celebrity parade at the New York world premiere of The Ten Commandments, a $13 million classic which will be seen on theater screens for years to come.
20. The film that refused to die. Nearly 7 decades later, The Ten Commandments still refuses to fade into history. Since 1973, it has aired on American television every Easter weekend, a tradition older than most cable networks. Generations have grown up measuring the holiday not by eggs or sermons, but by Charlton Heston raising those tablets. The annual broadcast consistently draws millions of viewers, proving that no streaming service can outlast an institution with divine timing. When Paramount restored the original negatives for Blu-ray, technicians found literal fingerprints embedded in several Red Sea frames, likely from effects artists handling the wet film stock in 1956. They left them untouched as a tribute to the unseen hands behind the miracle. By conservative estimates, more than 200 million people have watched the movie on broadcast alone. Adjusted for ticket sales and reruns, it remains one of the most viewed films in history. Its influence is everywhere, from advertising imagery to modern biblical epics, still trying to recapture its grandeur. DeMille once said, "I make films to speak to every generation." He couldn't have guessed that his final masterpiece would outlive him by more than half a century, still echoing through living rooms each spring. In an industry obsessed with sequels, The Ten Commandments stands as the eternal rerun, part sermon, part spectacle, and all legend. It hasn't just survived time, it's conquered it. And here you have it, 20 facts about the movie 10 Commandments. Which fact blows your mind? Let us know in the comment.
Farewell, my one-time brother.
Ah!